Welcome to this channel. The channel is for education and culture based on historical and scientific evidence. So yesterday I shared a YouTube on how the 1850s Wing Chun does its continuous attack punch or chain punch. And after that, within only 24 hours, I already got a lot of message in my Facebook Messenger. And within those questions, one question stand up or stand out. That is the question of, so how is the Wing Chun 1850s, the continuous attack or chain punch develop the power and the speed? So today I'd like to share with you in pretty details how is this power and speed developed. So here on, you all know. Now, there are other questions which I like to answer. The first thing is Wing Chun 1850 is not a lineage. It is not a cult either. Wing Chun 1850 is the only Wing Chun today in the world where can be tracked into the Chinese history, be able to back by the Chinese history's evidence and be able to be proven that it is legit in today's sports science. That's what Wing Chun 1850 is. Okay? So if you guys want to know more on this Wing Chun 1850 and today's Wing Chun, please watch my YouTube in this channel. There are plenty of it to explain in details with evidence what is the difference between the 1815's Wing Chun and today's Wing Chun. Another question asked is that why don't I got some friend or student to demonstrate on what I'm doing here, like the chain punch in the video yesterday. Well, this channel is based on what? Historical evidence and scientific evidence. So if you watch my video, previous videos, or YouTube, or even read my book, you know that whatever I'm presenting here is based on like the heart rate monitoring, the breathing monitoring, the intra-abdominal pressure monitoring, VO2 max monitoring, METs monitoring. I am based everything on science, not demonstrations. Why? Because we need to know the mechanism. We need to know how is this thing works. We need to have a scientific standard on what is going on. It's not your claim, my claim. You're gonna bring somebody to do a demonstrations. You can see in Chinese Kung Fu there are tons of demonstrations since 100 years ago. But how is that compared with MMA? Those are just demonstrations. So in this channel, we based on science, sports science. And that's why I presenting based on sports science, so anybody will be able to replicate it. Everybody will be able to get it. It is never is like you see this videos of this grandmaster have this power, that power. Well, you look around 100 years, how many really developed that? And is that true that that grandmaster have that power? Those are really unreliable stuff. So in this channel, the bottom line is science, proven with science, with data. Okay? Now, the last one, I like to make it clear. Unless you can focus on the technical details I'm presenting here, you will never get anything out of my video. So I really suggest you do not wasting your time watching my video. Unless one be able to digest what I am presenting here, one will never get anything out of it if one is based on my teacher said this, my lineage say this, Bruce Lee demo this way, or this is the way I think. You never get it. Because what I'm presenting here is beyond what you can think. And in fact, only last week I have by evidence shared to the world the breathing part of Wing Chun 1850 is beyond all the grandmaster for past 130 years. Beyond Liang Zhan, beyond Tai Fa Ming Gam. Today we have the information and science to prove it. Okay? So how can you digest anything if you box yourself into your thinking, your idea, whatever your lineage say, whatever your sifu say? It's like when people never see a smartphone, there's no way how can they imagine what smartphone is. Okay? So this is a straight talk. My duty as a Wing Chunner is to present what exactly happened so that those who like to know the truth know what it is. Okay, so with all this clear out, let me share with you on power and speed. Power and speed, we talk about real fight. Okay? There's no need to be humble here. Real fight. Now, if you want to develop power and speed, if we translate or say in today's language what the ancient mean, it depends on two elements. One is the recycling of momentum. Another one is your qi down to your lower abs. So what is the qi down to your lower abs? In today's words is you have to have a breathing which is down to your lower abs, and you need to have the intra-abdominal pressure which is come with the breathing to have a solid core handling. You need this two. Recycling momentum and the qi handling. And qi handling is your deep breathing and the intra-abdominal pressure handling for handling your core. Okay? Without these two, forget about it. 160 years ago in 1850, 450 years ago in 1560, when they fought the Japanese pirate or the Red Boat uprising, this is the must. Okay? And today, if you go to, say, MMA, Olympic, judo, and so forth, in the sports science, you know this is what it is. If you don't have it, forget about it. Okay? So what I am sharing with you here, Of course, many of our friends have watched my video channel and have my book, read my book, Recycling Wing Chun and Decoding Wing Chun. They know what I'm talking about. But most people, 99% of people don't know these two things. Because in past 130 years, there is no such thing in Wing Chun for teaching recycling momentum and the sinking the chi. None, zero. Okay? So, first thing, what is recycling momentum? Recycling momentum simply in today's term means you need to be able to handle the momentum of your body. The momentum of your body is the mass of your body, your trunk, multiplied by speed or angular velocity if it is spinning. That is momentum. Recycling momentum is like if you throw a strike out, you might strike that target, and you need to know how to handle your momentum where it will reflect back to throw the second strike. Or if you don't hit the target, you're off. Then your entire body have already thrown out. You need to be able to reuse that momentum you have generated. That's called recycling momentum. Unless you can train, you have this kind of training, you'll not be able to use the momentum, the recycling momentum, to continue on in a high speed, high power manner. Only if you can handle the recycling momentum, you can keep the momentum, which is you can turn into power, and of course it is speed too. You can keep that high speed and high power. Okay? So that's body. So, however, that is not going to work without being able to have a deep breathing. You need the breathing to power your body. If you don't have the breathing, there's no can do. Also, because of this breathing, you can have a handling of your core. Your breathing have influenced your intra-abdominal pressure, working with your abdominal muscle and the back muscle, you handling this core. So you have the energy and the handling of core to play that momentum game or recycling momentum game. Only that way you can have speed and power. Look at today's boxing, MMA, Thai boxing, all is playing this game. If you go to the really basic of sports science. Okay? Now, Wing Chun 1850. If you read my book, Decoding Wing Chun, the development of the breathing and intra-abdominal pressure is really details. It is not one size fits all. It has the level of recovery, the level of the fitness, and the level of strengthening training for fighting. There are 3 levels of training there. They use 3 levels of breathing. Again, in my video last week or so, I have presented. Okay? So the first thing, if you want to talk about this speed and power in fighting, in ancient Chinese Kung Fu, such as the Kung Fu 1850, you need to be able to breathe really deeply and be able to handle your intra-abdominal pressure. Today, you can check that with your the sensor belt to check your breathing is at 360 degree and your intra-abdominal pressure. You can check your heart rate, whether you be able to really get into the deep breathing. the deep breathing in recovery, the deep breathing in the uh, fitness, and the deep breathing in the strengthening training. Now, the question is, so how do you develop the speed and power when you do the continuous strike or the chain punch 1850? Well, that belongs to the level of strengthening training, as in my book, Decoding Wing Chun. There is actually two types of training. The first type of training is to develop your VO2 max, your muscular endurance, outside the fighting range. So what is the fighting range? Fighting range is the dangerous zone where both opponent in the fight can hit each other. It doesn't matter if this distance or this distance. It defined as the zone, the distance of both party can KO each other, can hit each other. That zone of breathing is very different than the distance, the zone outside that fighting zone. Again, in my past video and in my book, Decoding Wing Chun, I have made it really clearly. Now, in order to train speed and power, two things one need to train without within the safe zone, which is outside the dangerous zone. Outside the danger zone, one can keeping doing the strike, like one running really fast, and one can train that way outside the zone. This is to train your cardio, your VO2 max, and your muscular endurance. Okay? So, for example, outside the danger zone, you can do shifting different angle of punching continuously, really hard, really powerful. Get your heart rate up to 80% and above of your maximum heart rate. You can train that, and that is only to give you your muscular endurance and your cardio. Now, to train for the speed and power within that fighting zone is a completely different story. Outside the fighting zone, it is according to your body. You can throw 5 punch or 4 punch. When you feel tired, you can take a rest and you continue on again. So it is actually based on your body. When you step inside the danger zone, it is no longer your body make the decision. It is your opponent make the decision on when are you going to breathe or when you are supposed to get out to take a breath or clinch in to take a breath. Within this fighting zone, two things is important. Without this, it's deadly. Number one always need to keep a reserve of breathing and the reserve of intra-abdominal pressure at all time. As soon as you enter this fighting zone, you have to have a reserve of breathing and intra-abdominal pressure. If you don't have that reserve, you are completely run out of energy. It is like when you're swimming, you don't have your head is underwater and you don't take any breathing, and right away when your breathing is out, your energy drop to zero very fastly. So you need to have that reserve. The second thing, because of that low abdominal breathing reserve, you can handle your core stability. If you lose your breathing, you lose your energy, your entire body is like marshmallow. You cannot move it with speed or power. So, in this range, the fighting range itself, you need to train that always have the reserve and always manage your breathing. Say, my breathing, I can only do 5 strikes. Then I need to only do 4 and reserve the energy for the 5th strike in my body. If I do all the 5 strikes, I'm dead. Not to mention, when you get in this zone, this fighting zone, everything is happen really fast because your opponent will try their best to break your rhythm and your breathing rhythm, and you will have to take blow. Okay, so the reason why you need to have the low ab breathing or 心气 to 丹田, meaning that you have to have a lot of energy here so that you can partition it. Say I can do 5 strike, then I partition it. I only do 4. I have 1 strike energy for reserve, so I can move out or move in to charge my energy. And also that 4 strike there, it could be I strike and he comes strike at me. I have to take blow. So you need to partition your breathing, and you need always to have the reserve. So outside the fighting zone, do as hard as you want based on your body. When you enter inside here, you have to pace it. Attack 1, 2, 3, 4, out. Attack 1, 2, 3, 4, clinch in. Okay, so when you want to do chain punch, say this is outside the danger zone, you enter the danger zone, 1, 2, 3. Reserve still there, move out. 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4, changing angle. Reserve still, go out. You don't want never go there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No reserve more. Now you're dead. Okay? So that is the condition inside there. So when you walk up to the ring, you get into the fight. After this type of training, you always have your breathing reserve, your core always stable, and you know how many strikes you can do before you need to have another charging. So unless one train these 2 things, forget about talk about power and speed. So I asked a question yesterday to someone who messaged me. I said, tell me which grandmaster in past 130 years in Wing Chun up to today have tell you these 2 kind of things as in my book, Wing Chun, Decoding Wing Chun. You don't have it. And yet this is all trained in your sets. In 1850, it is within the Xiu Lim Tao sets. Okay? And today, we can verify that with like a training Olympic.